Good morning here on the Pacific time, and welcome to another episode of the Seeds We Plant series that I've been doing. And speaking about weeds this year, I did previous episodes on the Seeds We Plant in relation to virtues. Accountability, kindness, etc., and they're still out there, and I decided to start talking more about the weeds and not just in talking about them. As you know, my podcast is about dismantling the thoughts that created the generational cycle of pain. So it's more about focusing on what we want, focusing on what we are, focusing on what our creator is, and of course we as humanity and everything living and non-living made in its image. Everything we experience in the world is a result of individual thoughts that we have sown into this mass garden. Within us is our inner garden, and we have our heart, which is the fertile soil of where we sow our emotions. They are the fertile ground of our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts, our reactions. They are where that comes from. And we continue to sow in it by continuing to see things a certain way, continue to feel a certain way, because the more whatever we are, we attract track to ourselves. And that's nothing new, right? You think about the new thought, you think about uh, Dr. Joseph Murphy, you think about Louise Hay, you think about Earl Nightingale, you think about even Rhonda Byrne and The Secret, The Law of Attraction. There are so many books that have addressed this innate power that we have to create from our our being. And often you hear about the mind, but it is the heart, the seat of it all, the fertile ground, the garden, that whatever we sow into our heart, these thoughts, these ideas, we reap that. We reap what we sow, and what is in our heart passes through the vines, the nervous system, that communication network throughout our body, and travels to our brain, where we make sense, we process things, and it then attracts um, what we have, our perceptions, what we believe. Our body is so in tune with the universal laws that it gives us what we believe. And we wonder how come, being abused as a child, we run into those same type of relationships, and even our child may experience abuse. Is because those thoughts are still lingering. We think about triggers, we think about repetitiveness of these thoughts, triggers, and tying them into an event, which is what our nervous system does. It links neurons or vines to vines, and that's how the message becomes consistent. And until we actually intercept what we are feeding into our hearts, is what we and our minds, therefore our minds, we start to not only expect a change, but start to see a change. Even something as small could be something huge, where we don't respond to an event like we used to. And these thoughts that we sow, some of them have to do with divisiveness, and that's the conversation for today, is divisiveness, including prejudice and racism. And as a child, I could not understand why someone would not like another person because of their skin color. And when you think about everything that we have in earth, there are opposites: male, female. There are different shades of colors in dogs, in the houses that are built with the idea from God and the sustainability from God, with our pets, with every living life that you see. No two objects are the same, not even twins. And that speaks to the versatility of our creator, the variousness of him, that he's not just one thing. He's not limited to one thought, one idea, one label, one event, that he is all knowing, all powerful, everywhere present. This we see when we see humanity, we see God. We see God in the flesh, that it's not just one color. It's not just one religion. It's not one creed. It's not one culture. It's not one tradition. That, again, it's not about the names that we call it. It's about what we believe this energy is, this master gardener, this master teacher, spiritual teacher, this counselor, this healer, this physician, because everything that we are comes from it. Everything that we're here to express, doctors, lawyers, nurses, coaches, teachers, trainers, parents, that it first is within Him. And He gives us free will to choose how we want to see an event, an experience. We can choose to see it in the true essence of it, and seeing the bigger picture, that nothing defines us, that we are greater than any of our experiences, that God is love, God is innocent, God created us in His image. Or we can choose to see something false, that we are less than what God is, that we are stupid, that we are ignorant, that we are depressed, that we are anxious, that we, all these names that we take on for our identity, is not who, they're not who we are. They're something that we have created within ourselves, that now we see food as being the evil thing. And it's not food, it's how we relate to food. That food is a mean of survival. It provides our bodies much of the food, nature. When you think about nature, it provides us with these key nutrients, these biochemical compounds that help our nervous system to respond: calcium, potassium, all fiber, and helping to move our digestion and decrease, clean our vessels. And when you think about that, food was never meant to be something that we use to escape from, that we tranquilize ourselves from. We fall into a sleepy state, that we basically escape life. We were chosen here to transcend experiences, that God, our creator, whatever you may call it, wants to work through you. And so when I think about as a child and being angry, and I did let that get to me. I sowed, because I deposited seeds of anger. I sowed seeds of anger. I became offensive, and how can they not like me? And I'm too made in the image of God. And so this anger started to dismantle some serious things. One of them is my seeing my mother befriending people of different cultures and race, and seeing and experiencing the kindness from them. We had many people that did things for us that were no kin to us. They did actually more than people of like color with us. And when I think about my graduation gifts, I received a gift from someone who was a friend of my mother's mother, and she was a nurse. And she gave me a gift where I didn't receive even something from my father. And it's not to be angry or to belittle anyone. It's just a fact of what happened in my life. And it's about sticking to the facts. It's about not having to judge, to belittle others or demoralize others because of what happened, but to actually see and accept people in the space that they're in the being that they're in, that everyone has things that they're needing to work out, and everyone has parts in their journey where we may not lose, we may not remember who we are. So it was my mother's her kindness that I saw, and the kindness that was reciprocated by or from others who were not of the same blood relation or the same color. The second thing was in realizing that it was not so much then the color of the person, but their personality, how they choose to be. And often it's so easy to want to generalize. We have all these labels. You have diabetes, you have this disease, you have that, statistics. We unfortunately label people to group them in a category that often becomes better for us, that it can decrease the amount of intimidation. It can help us to continue to have hatred towards. We have it towards one person, we have it towards another class. Oh, you're like that person. And again, there's no one who's alike. So understanding and knowing that people are different, no matter what color, no matter what race, no matter what religion. It's who they choose to be. So it's a choice. And that was one of the reasons why I realized that I didn't need to be angry at my father, because it was a choice that he made given his state, mental, emotional, and spiritual state. And not everyone will be on the same level that you are. The third thing was realizing that God made us in his image. So it is not, with the exception of whites or Caucasians or blacks or Hispanics or brown people, are Christians or Hebrews or Greeks or Jews. It's not, or Jewish, of the Jewish religion. It's not about these worldly divisions that we have made. You are here, you belong here. You are there, you belong there. But our creator, love is about unity. Love is about freedom. Love is about acceptance, unconditional love. It's about seeing God as he is and embracing, nourishing and expressing this divine spirit that we all have inside of us. So I can't, if I know and I believe that God made everything in his image, then there is no prejudice. There is no racism. There is acceptance. There is a release. There is freedom in my mind, because now I don't have to just label people and think that everybody is the same, because they're not. And God doesn't see people like that. He doesn't see titles. He sees the heart of the individual. And so that was what I had come to, because even when I was in doing my undergrad, someone came to me. I remember it faintly, when I was downstairs going from one class to another, or maybe I was going to lunch, and they said, "You're going to the school basically that they're racist here." And it was just an immediate response. I don't care about racism. I'm here to get my degree. And then I later the thought came to me, well, you're talking about me being here, but you're here. And so it's not about this world, this living is not about who has more power. It's not which class has more power. It's not about who you're trying to be like, that we have to be. Often we want to be like the people that have power. We change how we look, we change our lips, we change our nose, we change our physical features, because we're like, well, I want to be accepted by this group. I want to be accepted. So I'm going to do whatever I need to do. And if that involves physically changing myself, if that involves putting myself at harm, if that involves not accepting myself, if that involves inner hatred, if that involves struggling mentally and physically, then I'll do it, because I just want to be accepted. And we have to know and understand that your birth justified your acceptance. You are here for reasons. So I thought about reading, and I will read this poem. Originally, I did it, I believe, in 2017. I wrote it in 2017 when I started writing for Nano, and just started writing and putting my words down on paper, how I felt. And then originally, this poem for many years was called The Color of My Skin. And I changed the title of this poem, I don't know, maybe 2 years or so ago. and I changed it, or actually a year, maybe a year or two ago, and I changed it to be a testament to truth. And so I'm going to read this to you. Since my childhood, I tried to make sense of nonsense, that the color of my skin took precedence over my born innocence. A heavy, drawn out burden to carry as a young child, that the color of my skin would get people so riled. Purpose, effort, designed my outer shell. He created me so that I could show and tell that the color of my skin is not a disgrace, nor is the slant of my eyes, my full lips, or broad nose on my face. Like you, I am part of his masterpiece, signed, sealed, and justified to live freely. Grace and beauty surround us. We're here to reveal the truth that binds the universe. Like you, I am here to serve a divine purpose, created by focused hands, not blinded by sight, to identify with another's plight. A descendant of America's brutal and rich history, a blend of diverse colors and shapes of those before me. Glance at the earth's objects surrounding us. Listen, do they carry on such a fuss? I have a fire that burns inside. It keeps me going when I want to run and hide. Trying to take off these chains you put on me. I am just here to live out my divine destiny. On a journey glorified and justified to take part, revealing aspirations and revelations deep within my heart. Like you, I feel happiness, pain, and sorrow, blessed to live another tomorrow. Because we're defined by what resides within, truly something greater than the color of our skin. So I know that racism and prejudice thoughts has impacted every generation, every culture, every tradition, every religion. Because Martin Luther King, I believe, is the one that said it, that, what we do affects the whole, that our actions have an indirect and a direct effect on life as it is. That the things that we see, that we're afraid to see, that can turn our stomachs on the inside out, that can bring headaches and frustration and profanity and all of these different things, we took part in it. Whether it is me like having anger and being on the defensive, that adds to the generational cycle of prejudice and racism. But so also does add to it the thought consciousness in the world, the idea of acceptance, the idea of God, everybody is in God's image, that there is innocence deep down under the hardened areas of soil that have allowed prejudice and racism to harden it. Deep down within, we are still who we are. We have a human genetic blueprint, personality, and we also have God's spiritual blueprint. And so when I think about racism and prejudice, I think about how I've heard responses, even from other cultures, about just everything that has taken place in America's history, including slavery. And often you can begin to think that some other race or culture is in control, that they are superior to others. And so we're talking about a general perception that many can have, is that, okay, this color, this race is in control. So I'm going to do whatever they say, even if it means that it is wrong, even if it means it's unethical, that I'm still going to be a part of it, because guess what? They are the ones that have the power. Well, it's not true power, because God is still in control, and he wants everyone to know him, or this power, and wants everyone to express it. And he gives us against free will until we catch up and realize this is not truly who I am. That no one on earth has God that trumps God, that trumps spirit. We are a microcosm of this macrocosm spirit. And so we have this general idea that runs in, that you are less than this race, this other race, and I need to be on their side. So we do things that are unbecoming of us. number one. Number two, when you think about blacks and browns, it can put us, and it has, against each other. When you think about Django, the movie, and you think about how, oh gosh, I just my thought just left me. But when you think about Django, and you think about, the idea of being in the house versus out the house, is that you did whatever they wanted you to do so that you could have that safety, that survival, surviving net, the survivor's net, that I'm going to survive. So if I need to survive, I need to do what I need to do, even if that means hating someone who is of the same race and same color as me, and even others that support that race or that color. And so that is a protection, that I need to protect myself. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to do things that, even that, again, are unethical. We see that in workplaces. We see that in many in schools. My son experienced that, where he was basically looked upon as someone who was like other black kids in that school. And I already told him, you're not going to be like others. You are going to represent what it is like to display God. And when they saw that, it was like, oh my gosh, this kid is different. And so it's not about boasting, it's about really true self expression. That's what I want to get to. So we have people that are of same color that hate their color. They hate to see themselves in the mirror. They wish that they were a different color because of this inner hatred that comes about. I have to survive. So I have to be unlike myself. And when we're unlike ourselves, we increase inner hatred, low esteem, insecurity. We betray ourselves. Because we portrayed ourselves, we are portraying other people, right? We attract what we're doing to even ourselves. We have first done it to ourselves before we do it to others. When you think about the other side of Caucasians and whites, and one of the things that I've seen is the amount of stress that they have to be the superior race, to that, the anger that comes when someone of a different color has gotten a position versus them. It's that stress that can cause them to overdrink, to commit brutal acts, to do things. And it's this desire that I'm going to hide what you do, because I don't want you, I don't want, because we want to keep this superior mentality. So there's a lot of covering for stress. And it was a movie that Denzel Washington was in. Oh gosh, my husband knows it. And it was basically where they were trying to get, it was a family, white family, and they were trying to get his son to be in a higher position. And he knew he didn't have what it took to be in that position. And if I could think of it, I might have to go ask my husband. But he knew that he wasn't qualified, and because of this knowing, he was doing things that was unbecoming of himself. Like I said, people can overdrink, they can do drugs, because they're trying to compensate. They're trying to, they have so much stress on them to uphold the standard. They can't even be themselves. They're so tight, so wound up. And blacks, browns, we get that way too. We become so tight, so wound up, so believing that we have to do 4 times as hard to even get there, and we're still not there. And that's not the way God had meant for us to live. We're not to struggle that way. We're not to struggle. We are to express the truth within us. And the problems we have are the problems that we have created in our own minds, believing and thinking there is a superior race, believing and thinking that we have to do 4 times as hard, believing and thinking that I can't let another race be better than me. And so we have to dismantle those thoughts. We have to align back with the source that is in us. And when we ask, when anytime that we want to meet the truth, align with the truth is always there, because it hungers to express itself through us. And so we don't have to go looking far. We don't have to go looking in a bottle. We don't have to go looking in a drugstore. We don't have to go looking on the street corners. We don't have to go looking anywhere else to find what we already have inside of us. And so it isn't hard. it is simple. Everything starts on the individual level because that's how everything was created. The fears, the angers, the anxieties, the shame, the guilt all add to the cycle of pain. But when we start turning around and we see the innocence in people, we expect the innocence in people. I have said things, that somebody was on a rampant and have prayed just to see the truth and to see their innocence. And it's like a total change in that person. How does a lady prevent someone who was going to rob her drop his gun, his weapon, and leave? We have the truth inside of us. It is one that loves us. It is one that sees the true essence of us. It is one that knows our pain, what we dealt with, what we perceive to be pain. A parent not liking us, hearing negative words, weeds that got into us, that we sowed into us, and it became part of our garden, robbing us of the nutritious spiritual fruit that is ingrained with inside of ingrained. And so racism and prejudice are just thoughts, and so are love and compassion and understanding and acceptance and understanding. And when we choose to replace these thoughts that are part of the cycle of pain, we then create a generational cycle of love. And that means that the power to change what we see in the world resides within us. It is a choice to start looking at things differently, to start evaluating the words and things that we heard about different races, the socialization that we grew up with, the insight that we can have. And I've heard people saying, for years, my parents said this about this race, but I come to the United States and I find something totally different. And we don't have to be angry at our parents. We just have to understand that they got that socialization from somewhere else too, as well. All right. So thank you for listening. That if you believe this has been beneficial to you, if you believe this is what we need in the world, pass this episode on. Subscribe to a generational love cycle. Either way, my goal is to help people to master their minds, to purify their hearts, and to express the divinity within them, because every life has purpose. Every life has abilities, gifts, and talents. Every life has meaning. I'll talk to you soon. Take care of yourself. Make this lifetime great, because no matter what, you can. The power is within you.